Chapter 1. The Final Experiment. In Geneva, 2027 deep beneath the Earth's crust, inside the Quantum Anomaly Research Facility, QRF, the quantum core pulsed to life. Switzerland had long been a sanctuary of stability, its mountains and lakes standing timeless against the shifting tides of global uncertainty. But in 2027, the world teetered on the brink of something unprecedented. Geopolitical tensions had escalated in the wake of economic collapses. Artificial intelligence had outpaced human comprehension, and societies, desperate for solutions, had turned to technology as their savior. At the heart of it all, in the depths of Geneva, stood the Quantum Anomaly Research Facility, QORF, home to some of the most ambitious and controversial scientific endeavors in human history. It was here, beneath layers of reinforced steel and secrecy, that Project Oracle had been born. The quantum core, the heart of Project Oracle, was unlike anything ever created, a massive floating sphere of shifting energy contained within a reinforced electromagnetic chamber. It pulsed with colors beyond the visible spectrum, appearing almost alive, like a controlled storm of energy barely held in check. The space around it warped subtly, as if reality itself was bending to accommodate the anomaly. Scientists theorized it had the potential to map and manipulate the very fabric of time, a prospect that had divided the world's brightest minds between awe and terror. Clusters of monitoring stations were positioned at a safe distance, where researchers observed from behind reinforced barriers, their faces tense with both excitement and fear. Screens flickered with streams of data, graphs fluctuating wildly, and holographic projections of the core's energy field danced in midair. Outside the chamber, government officials and military strategists debated the consequences, while religious leaders condemned the project as an affront to the natural order. Dr. Evelyn Rains had always believed that science had limits. Adrian Cross did not, and neither of them realized how thin the veil had become. She stood in the observation room, staring through the reinforced glass at the quantum core. The chamber, a gleaming marvel of human ingenuity, pulsed with unstable resonance colors, phasing in and out of the visible spectrum. The hum deepened, not just mechanical but almost biological, like the core was aware of its own awakening. Evelyn could feel it. This wasn't just science anymore. Something behind the veil was stirring. Beyond the glass, a team of physicists worked with precision, monitoring the delicate balance of quantum fields that could not be disrupted. Adrian Cross, head of QRF security, lingered in the shadows, instincts taut, scanning the dimly lit corridor for any sign of movement. His instincts never fully relaxed, even here. As the chief security officer for the Quantum Anomaly Research Facility, QRF, it was his job to ensure that every inch of the place remained secure, especially during high-stakes experiments like the one that had gone catastrophically wrong. Years of military service and private security consulting had shaped him into a man who could spot a threat from a mile away. But nothing had prepared him for this, a project so secretive that even he hadn't known the full extent of its potential. His superiors had made it clear, his presence at the control console wasn't optional. They needed someone capable of neutralizing threats, both external and internal, should anything go sideways. He was the last line of defense if things went south. And as he moved through the abandoned corridors now, a gnawing dread told him they already had. He hadn't been the first choice for security lead, that much he knew. The project had been guarded by corporate interests and government officials who didn't trust anyone outside their inner circle. But when the previous head of security resigned under mysterious circumstances, Adrian had been brought in without much explanation. There had been rumors of sabotage attempts, unauthorized personnel accessing restricted data. He'd pushed for answers, but the higher-ups had stonewalled him, insisting it was just paranoia among the staff. But something had felt wrong, like a coiled threat, waiting to strike. He couldn't shake the feeling that someone had wanted him there, not to secure the project, but to be the scapegoat if things went sideways. Adrian stood at the primary control console, tension coiled in his shoulders, his gaze fixed on the fluctuating energy readings, stability holding at 98%. He reported. Dr. Carrington's voice crackled through the intercom, calm but tense. Prepare to initiate the final sequence. Evelyn glanced at Adrian, her eyes betraying a flicker of doubt. Are we really doing this? Adrian forced a reassuring smile. We're making history. She bit her lip, hesitating, her eyes never leaving the glowing sphere. the weight of it all pressed down on her shoulders, threatening to crush her resolve. It wasn't just fear of failure, it was the thought of losing everything they had worked for, losing him. Her gaze shifted to Adrian, tracing the hard line of his jaw. The determination etched into his face despite the storm of uncertainty swirling around them. She didn't know when it had started, the quiet, stubborn way he pushed her to keep going when her own doubts gnawed at her. The long nights fueled by coffee and whispered theories, his hand brushing against hers as they pored over calculations. She'd caught herself looking too long, thinking too much about what might happen when they finally succeeded, when there would be no more experiments to distract them. Adrian, she hesitated, the words lodged in her throat. Just promise me something. He glanced at her, seeing the conflict in her eyes. I don't know, but we can't stop now. Not after everything we've put into this. She swallowed. If something goes wrong, don't let me go. Whatever happens, just don't let me go. He reached out, brushing his fingers against hers. I won't. I promise. The countdown initiated. A robotic voice echoed through the chamber. 30 seconds to temporal breach. The core's glow intensified, its swirling energy patterns growing chaotic, shifting between colors that strained the eyes. The air thickened with a tension that seemed to vibrate through the floor. Carrington's voice hardened. Activating the temporal core. A resonant hum built in the chamber, rising in pitch, vibrating in their bones. Evelyn tightened her grip on the console, her knuckles white. Adrian's stomach twisted. The core's pulse wasn't just accelerating, it was harmonizing. The air buzzed with layered frequencies, some too low to hear, others too high to comprehend. For a split second, he felt weightless like gravity itself had hiccuped. Something was pushing back. The readings on his screen shifted abruptly, energy levels spiking beyond the calculated limits. Evelyn's breath caught. We're getting interference, spontaneous quantum instability. Adrian's pulse quickened. Shut it down, now! Carrington's reply was almost drowned out by the rising cacophony. It's not responding! A flicker of movement on one of the auxiliary screens caught Adrian's attention. An external diagnostic feed, tampered with, showing input anomalies. His gut twisted. Someone's feeding false data to the core. Evelyn's eyes widened. Sabotage? Before they could react, the core flared, sending violent pulses through the containment chamber. The air around it distorted, warping as though space itself were rebelling. Lights flickered and the reinforced glass shimmered, as if trying to become liquid. Then, a shockwave ripped through the room. Their hands clasped tightly, and in that moment, Adrian's only thought was keeping his promise, not letting go. Reality fractured, time bent, twisted, and shattered into fragments. As the vortex consumed them, Evelyn caught glimpses of ruined cities submerged in blackened waters, twisted architecture crumbling under the weight of a crimson sky. Adrian felt a whisper curl through his mind, a voice like ancient thunder murmuring words he couldn't comprehend. The lab disappeared around them, dissolving into a blur of fractured light and chaotic energy. Scientists screamed in the distance, but their voices faded, warping, distorting, until they were nothing but echoes stretched across infinity. Time unraveled. They were pulled into a tunnel of fractured realities, a kaleidoscope of worlds colliding and shattering, where the past, present, and future coexisted in surreal fragments. Shapes and shadows twisted around them, faces and places appearing for fleeting moments before vanishing into the vortex. A rift opened somewhere beyond reason. He glimpsed a blinding orb too large, too radiant, slamming into Earth's sky. Not a sun, but something unfiltered. He would forget it for now, but the memory would burn its way back in time. Their bodies felt weightless, stretched infinitely in all directions, as if existence itself had fragmented. Evelyn reached for Adrian, their hands brushing as the world bent and warped, and in that instant, she could feel the depth of his heartbeat, the promise he made as reality fractured around them. Then nothing.